Hello and welcome to another part in my ongoing Trails Through Daybreak series. I think this is part 9. But who is counting anymore? Seriously, all of this didn't play out like I imagined it at the start, since Daybreak turned out to be a tad different. Anyhow, we are about to enter the chamber of the Mafia boss himself, which should draw this chapter to a close, but there are quite a few questions left. Doesn't mean they are answered in this game, since there is a part 2, and there might be more after this chapter anyway, so let's see. So I'll definitely edit out the banter since it's way too long and I don't think there was all that much to it, but there was one part that I will now cut into the fight scene right now, because there was something weird going on with Mare. Also, I should say Van activated the Grendel right at the start of this fight, so that's different too.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going full throttle from the get-go. Mare!
Mare to the rescue! Okay, Van. Hope you're ready to...
Yeah. Ready to go!
Okay. Sharkswell, the Grendel's all yours!
Ah, there it is. I was wondering if you would pull the same trick again. So that must be your nightmare, then.
What just...
Mare! Something's interfering with her AI.
Bear, snap out of it!
No, this is all wrong. This isn't who I am. This isn't me.
She vanished. The hell did you do to her?
What's wrong? You still have your restraints, do you not?
So of course he had the first attack, and of course it was some area stuff, since we are standing in one big group, so we can be easily attacked in this form. I really despise that part of the game, because the other games always had some kind of chessboard where I could do something about this. But no, this one doesn't. Now let's see. Well, now might be a good time to explain why the Silver Blade and her ninja friend are here. You have the option to ally yourself. Well, it's not really an option, but you must ally yourself with one group that is participating in the game of the Mafia boss. Yeah, well, that is one amount of hit points I didn't quite plan for. You have, depending on your former decisions, which brought you into the law, grey or chaos area of this triangle. For potential allies, there would be the guild, then there's Heyu, the Silverblade and her Jäger group, and of course there's Ouroboros, which would mean the Oathbreaker and Walter and that butterfly girl.
Pressure him and move in.
This boss is really driving me nuts at this point. I mean, I'm using the hate cast of the Grendel every time and he is still attacking other people. That shouldn't happen, and I'm seriously not happy with this. At the end of the Reverie we had some small stories. One involved Wen and how she became president of her college, and another one involved some vacation Wien was on, and he ran into the Silver Blade here, and she showed him just how insignificant he is, and that's how we first learned about her. We actually came across her first on a vacation of our group, which is kind of funny. Does she always make contact with people when they're on vacation, or is this just one big coincidence? Anyhow, she is our ally. Well, at least his attacks are all flashy. Chapter 5 has been full of boss encounters. And I have to say, the difficulty system of this game was a little disappointing. I played hard mode, and aside from some cheap shots, it never felt too much like that. I think there was one fight in Tharbat with the prince and his bodyguard, and they fired OS crafts back to back, so the only thing standing was Van with 42 health. Well, like a boss. He used powder for Anis, and after her S-craft everything was up with 100% health and I was good to go. As I said, a bit of a cheap shot that I could have countered with Anis S-craft in between the two S-crafts of the opponents, but at that point I think I dozed off a little, since it seemed like this fight was going to give me no problems like so many fights before. The boss has a ton of hit points and my damage is still as low as ever, so I guess I wait for the stun, fire off the Grendel's S-craft every time, and that should put enough pressure on him to at least have some movement in that hit point bar. Of course, hitting him like that will trigger his S-craft at some point. The S-crafts of the opponents did gradually get higher in damage output. The last guy actually did enough damage for me to get Anis into action. I guess this one will do a little more still, but I'm not worried too much. Yeah, it is enough to bring Anis into the game, but since she has an S-craft that just heals everything up to 100%, you have a good chance to survive his hits.
You okay? Your breathing's gotten awfully heavy.
Aside from that, the damage output of your group is just that bad, and there are some mechanics and some shifts in the overall balance between arts and crafts and physical damage that are responsible for that. I think I should take the opportunity here to talk a little about that. So let's start with the arts. In Reverie we went to the extreme. The smallest, cheapest arts of an element did the most damage over time. So you set up your casters and spammed them. The bigger arts had more delay and spent more energy, but didn't get that much more damage. So using them was never justified unless you got a 0 cast coming up. Arts damage was always either better or worse than physical damage. Sometimes they were close enough to each other so you could choose, or better mix it up, but all things considered, the balance here was always tricky. Daybreak has awful arts damage. It pays off way more to use the new link system and have two people attack with normal attacks for the most part than use an art. So your casters can use support casts instead, but that's about it. It's really little sad just how little you get out of the damage casts. Interesting enough for this game, Van is the key to success. Since the new link system means your people will clump up together to combo attack, even support themselves when they use crafts, they obviously can get big hits from area attacks of the opponent. So Van can taunt the opponent and make sure that doesn't happen. Agnes, on the other hand, has a good craft, area heal, and an all-out full heal resurrect in her S-craft. So she is the second key to success. If you get these two in your group, you are pretty solid. It doesn't really matter what else you take with you, it will work out in some way.
Wide open.
What should I do? Grab the light! Innocent heal! If you could!
I guess there's at least one more S-craft he will do. Yeah, I didn't think it would be dead immediately. This is not good.
Could use some patching up.
Since I can't really comment on this fight too much, nothing really interesting happens, let's talk about a few other game changes. You might have noticed that an S-craft is only costing 100 CP these days and not the full CP bar. That means you can now use that more often, or at least have some CP left after you're using your S-craft, and that's a good thing. Replenishing CP has been lowered, and I guess those things go together. Another thing I noticed with the S-craft seems to be I can only use them as S-break and not use them from the craft menu when my character is actually at its turn. That only works in some special cases, and I haven't found out why and how. There's also another limit to your S-breaks. You need these boosts meter to have at least 2 filled bars, and only then can you use an S-craft. So you have to keep that in mind too. Whenever you use an S-craft, you get another S-boost bar, and you can store more of them, obviously. This is fight only. I don't really know what to make of this change. I had a few problems with it at the start, because I didn't quite get that. And I tried to use my S-crafts and just couldn't, and thought, what is wrong? Until I found out there also was the mark that you need those 2 bars in your S-boost bar. So yeah, I'm play these games for so long, I'm just not paying enough attention to the tutorials anymore.
Please, lead the way, princess.
I like where this is headed.
Activating skill.
Silver wins!
Our chance.
The ninja guy is acting on its own, so you only get to control the Silver Blade herself. And she is pretty good, but considering she is supposed to be miles above us in terms of power level, she is, as long as she's in our group, just on our level. And well, that's the logic of the game. Some people are portrayed as extremely powerful, and whenever they join our group, nothing is left of that.
I guess I got a bit sloppy.
Now, all things considered, this guy is not really that big of a deal. So his S-Craft hits hard, he's also giving me a few harder hits, and if I don't heal those harder hits, the S-Craft will kill somebody, like the Silver Blade just now. But all in all, I don't feel like this guy is a real threat. He is business as usual, and none of the bosses until now really had me think up any strategy or anything. It's just smooth sailing. It's probably a lot more of a pain above hard mode, since Anis would die if he would hit just a little higher, and I can see that happening in a higher difficulty. But that's about it, and you probably need to be more prepared in that case. I have been playing this as much as I needed to, so I did all the quests and tried to upgrade my characters as much as I can, but I didn't really grind, even in this last chapter where I really ran out of money, and I guess that's by design. I didn't push it, so that's a bit irritating. All things considered, this doesn't feel like the final boss of this game. We also never figured out what his plan was. I guess I will be talking about that in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.
Is that all your precious nightmare can do? How pathetic. Surveillance system, adjust parameters. Set the game's end time to exactly 3 minutes from now. Once the timer hits 0, throw a Peyron and I against the bomb.
Oh no!
Not good.
Didn't see that coming.
Dare mock me? I was right all along. I found it. Seems my work here is now done.